Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about an embroidery machine, the EOC05. So I'm going to give you my little opinion on this embroidery machine that I've had for almost a year now. You have everything you need to get started. We have the hoops, these two hoops. We have the needles, we have thread. We also have a whole bunch of small accessories for product maintenance. One of the machine's assets is really its LCD screen. So here you can see it's very intuitive. So here we have the settings part. So we'll be able to connect it to the Wi-Fi network to directly transfer your creations to the machine to embroider them. There you go, the machine is available in different languages, including French. The parameter settings. We'll be able to adjust the default settings, like the machine's operating speed, so we can lower it by default to 450, for example. The thread cutting mode, so we have the automatic or manual method, depending on your preferences, and a lot of other parameters. Next, regarding the machine system, you should know that POOLIN provides fairly regular updates within Stitch. To do this, you just need to insert the USB drive after having previously downloaded the update file. And then you just have to click on update and the machine will update automatically. So on the machine, you have several embroidery options, including embroidering built-in patterns, meaning they are already created and you can embroider them. So we have a lot of them. We have 12 pages of patterns. And you can also integrate your own via specialized software via the USB drive, or transfer via Wi-Fi through InStitch. There's still a lot of patterns. We have plenty to work with. And what's great is that the patterns are adapted to the machine. So there won't be any issues with stitches or defects if everything is okay. There are also the POOLIN patterns. So these are other patterns. There's quite a bit. We have 2 pages. Well, I've never used them to be completely transparent, but for testing, they could be pretty good. Then we have a border patterns section. So this will enable you to create borders for your text or for your patterns. So there are a lot of borders. You also have options for heart, square, round shapes. So for the text, you have a lot of settings. So here, for example, I'm going to put the first name, Kevin. So here, you can adjust the size, S, M, or L. So here, we're going to be on a small format, in size small. In large size, we can clearly see that it goes beyond the 10 by 10 hoop. But on the larger frame, it would fit. So we'll put it back to the medium format. We also have the option to change the font. The only small flaw I can point out about this is that it doesn't change automatically when you change the font. So I just changed it, then I write the first name. So here, we'll put, for example, Louis. And there you go. You see, there's another font. There. So next here, as you can see, we have and at this point, we are going to continue with what comes next. Designs that we sent directly from InStitch Cloud. It actually allows us to send the designs we want to embroider on the machine from our PC without using a USB key. But for that, you'll need to connect the machine to your Wi-Fi and have an InStitch Cloud account to transfer between your PC and the machine. It's a free service. And finally, here we see USB design. So here you see my little USB key with my original creations provided in the .dst embroidery file format that are compatible with the machine and that I created with the software that I will put in the description. But you have a lot of free software that will do the job just fine. So to show you an example, we're going to make an embroidery for Naya. So the font, I don't really like it. We're going to change it. This one instead. The M size works for me. Next, we'll go to configuration. So here, we'll see the color section. We'll also have the frames. So either the 4x4 inch option or the 4x9.25 inch size. So here is the 4-inch 4x4. And here's the 4x9.25 inch. So if we compare them, so if we make a brief and straightforward comparison here, so for your text, you have the option of rotating it or creating a mirror effect. That's the mirror effect, of course. We're going to be on a rotation now. And there you can play with the number of degrees. Here we were on a 90-degree rotation, and here we can be on a 10-degree rotation, 20 degrees, and we can even go down to 1 degree. Here we also have the option to move our creation to place it wherever we want. And then here we come to save. I've cancelled the changes. We also have the option to change size by enlarging, lowering, stretching to the side or to the other side. Similarly, we come to save if necessary. I'm going back here and we're not going to touch that to leave and not save. So in terms of text settings, we also have many possible settings. Here we can create a lot of effects, for example, a staircase effect. There's also the rounding option. I'm not wanted to go into all the details, but you understand that there are quite a few possible settings. So the third part, once we have finished our creation, we will be able to click here on embroider. Here we can adjust the embroidery speed. So less or more, you remember earlier, we had set it to 450 by default. But you can also lower it if necessary, depending on what you have to embroider. So this setting will allow you to go back or forward or to move forward. For example, we missed a letter or there is a small defect. For example, we'll be able to go directly on the letter Y.
Now we move on to the test. I install the cassette in the embroidery machine. It helps to keep the support in place and ensures precise positioning of the pattern. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss the next tutorials. I use 2 water-soluble stabilizers. The first one, which is transparent, is placed on top of the fabric and is fixed with pins or a magnet. The second one is self-adhesive and is positioned on the back of the fabric to stabilize it. Both are water-soluble and disappear completely upon contact with water. For this test, I'm going to embroider a first name on a health record book. To make things easier for me, I use a magnetic frame with magnets. It is not supplied with the machine. I'll put the link in the description. This is particularly practical for embroidering on thick or rigid materials, like this one. I start by carefully centering the area to be embroidered and ensuring that it is perfectly parallel to the frame, in order to avoid any distortion during the embroidery. Next, I secure the health record book with the magnets. To finish, I add the transparent water-soluble stabilizer, placing it between the magnets and the health record book. Depending on the product to be embroidered, it's important to think carefully about the placement orientation so that the part that shouldn't be embroidered ends up outside the machine and doesn't interfere with the embroidery movement. I start by positioning the hoop under the needle. To do this, I use the needle lift lever, which allows me to raise it completely and free up the necessary space to insert the hoop without risking snagging the fabric. I then present the hoop nice and flat. I check that it's correctly aligned with the machine's holder, then I apply light pressure until I hear the click that confirms the hoop is properly clipped and secured in place. For this test, I'm using text created in software, exported in the .dst format, which is compatible with the machine. I simply put it on a USB drive to find it directly on the machine. I then select the appropriate hoop, and I position the text exactly where I want to embroider. I run a test by clicking Trace to simulate the embroidery area, then I adjust the placement as needed, using the arrows available in the Embroider menu. Once I've found the right position, I take a final moment to check the alignment and the settings. When everything is correct and properly in place, the settings are finished and the machine is ready to start embroidering. This function is handy and allows you to precisely visualize the embroidery area. However, the addition of a laser would have been a real advantage for improving placement precision. I then put the spool of thread in place, following the diagram shown on the machine. For this test, I chose a white thread. The process is simple and quick once you get the hang of it. The machine offers an automatic threader, but I'm a bit old school, so I prefer to thread the needle by hand. The choice of thread is important for getting a beautiful result and avoiding problems during embroidery. I'll put the references for the threads I use in the description. I ordered a set of about 100 colors, which is very practical for adapting to different projects. My advice: always use a good quality thread that is well suited to the fabric to guarantee a clean and even embroidery. On the screen, the embroidery is of course shown in fast forward. In reality, it takes about 6 minutes, depending on the chosen speed, with a maximum of 500 stitches per minute, and the LCD screen allows you to follow the progress very clearly. It's clearly not the fastest machine on the market, but considering the price, which is almost half, the result is very close to machines like those from Brother. And to give a concrete example, a POOLIN machine can even be faster than an entry-level Brother stitch. During embroidery, the machine remains quite stable, and the noise level is acceptable, even at 500 stitches per minute. The result is clean, the stitches are even, and the text remains very legible, including on thin letters. The interface is simple to get the hang of, which makes it accessible even when you're just starting out. It's clearly not a professional machine, but for this price point, it more than gets the job done, especially if you prioritize the quality of the result over pure speed. If you're interested, I'll put the link where I bought it in the description, at the best price I could find. And there you have it, the embroidery is finished. Because I used my own software, it adds what are called jump stitches, which means I now have to cut the connecting threads between the letters. If you use the machine's built-in functions directly, you won't have these threads to cut, and you'll get a cleaner embroidery, without needing to clean up the threads afterward. After removing the transparent water-soluble stabilizer from the front, I cut the threads of the jump stitches using small embroidery scissors, which are specially designed for finishing. I also remove the stabilizer on the back by gently tearing it away. Alternatively, you can also put the item directly in the washing machine. The stabilizer will dissolve completely and the result will be even cleaner. So that's my conclusion on the POOLIN EOC05. It's a good machine with a great value for the price. Personally, I've had no problems after more than a year of use, and the support team is very responsive, especially on Facebook. I'm also showing you a few things I've made with this machine so you can see the quality of the results. If you're interested, I'll put a link in the description to the best price I could find. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. I'll be preparing some tutorials and an even more in-depth review for you soon. And of course, leave a comment if you have any questions.